That is a way to be like for Daniel Craig to be like, you know what? Just nuke me. Let them know, no, I'm not doing another one. There is no way. I want it to be a nuclear explosion. So there's no, well, maybe he, there was a secret tunnel. He got into the car, hidden her for no. But I just find it as a funny way for Daniel Craig to be like, you're going to write in the script. James Bond gets hit by a nuke. He's not coming back. Or at least I'm not coming back.
Hey, this is Trooper James Casey. You're listening to Usual Saints.
Welcome to a new episode of The Usual Saints. I'm Mike D here this week with Sainte and Jeremy. I mean, I guess I don't really need to introduce everyone as long as everyone's here. Vinny's not going to be here anymore. So I guess this is the crew, right? Until we, find anyone else. If anyone else wants to join our motley crew. I was going to ask my cousin to come on tonight, but I thought it might be too late for her. So that would have been fun. But
it's good to reintroduce people, what's the saying? Like every podcast might be someone's first podcast. So, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, definitely like to get the names out there. We got a few downloads on the last episode, and that's without any promotion because I was really lazy last week. I didn't promote it anywhere. We didn't go live, anything like that. So,
and we still got some downloads. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just like automatic downloads, like me and Heather and whatnot.
There you go. Actually, now that you mention, it's probably mine too. I have a setup for automatic, so that's probably where we got them. So.
Hey, whatever. I like to think if we get, I read a quote the other day, if we reach, some guy said he got like 13 downloads average or something like that. And that's 12 more than he thought he would. I guess, I don't know who the one was. Maybe that's him, but that's really all it is. Right now we're just having fun. Yeah. We'd like to make something out of it, but I'm here to just shoot the shit with you guys, have some fun and go from there. So, hey, let's dive into deaths. Poor Dean Stockwell from Quantum Leap. I know he's been in a lot of other stuff, but he wasn't Ziggy. What was he? Captain Al or whatever his name was. The guy that sent Sam back, or back in time or through the Quantum Leap machine or whatnot. Yeah, he died. He was 85, which I guess I didn't know he was that old. I mean, you figure the show was 89, something like that. So that's 30 something years ago. So I guess it makes sense. But really, man, yeah, I mean, you just don't think about it. I literally just saw a picture of Robert Patrick and Peter Weller, who play, T-1000 and RoboCop, and they look old as fuck. And so the ravages of time escape no man. So.
Yeah, getting old sucks.
There's no other way to put it.
Well, now we're kind of in that zone. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Just saw something the other day about that show being Quantum Leap is due for a remake. It's a good concept, and
actually well ahead of its time, and actually pretty well done. I mean, I remember watching it. Like I couldn't even tell you specific episodes. I just remembered, guy goes through time and he, is in people's bodies, but they don't see him. They see the other person and all that stuff. But yeah, for sci-fi, it did seem like it was kind of ahead of its time with the concept. So
now I've never watched Doctor Who, but is it the same type of thing? The traveling to different. Is Doctor Who just time travel, or how does that work?
I've never watched Doctor Who. I think they use the TARDIS and they go whether through time or through the universe. So that's like their spaceship. So I don't think it's jumping into other bodies. I mean, you really haven't seen much. I mean, yeah, you see it here and there, but you haven't seen like a prolonged series or movie or anything like that with the same kind of concept. So, I mean, a reboot, maybe, would it have the same charm as it would in the late 80s? I don't know.
Didn't Lindsay Lohan do Freaky Friday remake? I mean, that's the same thing, right? The mom, Zac Efron and Matthew Perry did one, right?
Right.
You can't mess with those kind of formulas. Those are
exceptional. That's a strong word. But yeah, I don't know if any other deaths this week. That's just the one that obviously stuck. What is that noise? I keep hearing something weird. But that's the one that stuck out to me. And I, of course, Jeremy says I like to bring death out in the A block. So, hey, I figured might as well. Let's just do it. Roll it out, steamroll the poor guy. But RIP Dean Stockwell. Can you guys think of anything else he was in? Because I know he's been in other stuff. I just can't think of it offhand.
No, I know I've seen him in movies, right? I know I've seen him in movies, but yeah, no, like if only there was a website on the internet that would tell you each and everything that an actor's ever been in. Like that's the level of show prep we do here. But I mean, but not lately, right? I mean, you said he was in his 80s, and I haven't seen him in anything in a long time. So
no, it says the last thing he acted in seems to be like 2014, an episode of NCIS. He was in something in 2015, but I don't know what the hell it was. Oh, was he on
NCIS? That's definitely a show where if you haven't acted in a long time, you'll end up being like on an episode of NCIS or any of those, CBS shows that nobody watches under the age of 60.
Law and Order used to have everyone back in the day.
Right.
I forgot.
New York actor.
I forgot he was on the reboot of Battlestar Galactica. That was a great show. So yeah, he was in that. So that was probably his really last big role, and it was a recurring role. Beyond that, nah. Voice of Tim Drake. Batman Beyond. Okay, that makes sense. I was like, Tim Drake from Batman. That's like a kid. Really? Yeah, but it's Batman Beyond, so that's the one where Batman's old, right? So I guess that makes sense.
Right. Well, yeah, Bruce Wayne's old, so then Tim Drake would be like in his 50s or whatever, and that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that. Let's see what else we got. So the Aaron Rodgers saga, I just want to touch on. Like I said, we're going to have a short A block. It's continuing. I think Sainte may have touched on it last week. I'm really pissed off at Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I actually heard his comments that he made in August where they straight up asked him if he got vaccinated. He's like, yeah, I'm immunized. And then he starts talking about like guys who won't get the vaccine and how he doesn't look upon them a certain way or he doesn't judge them. But he was one of those guys. So what the fuck?
Right. First of all, I want to say that, my example that I brought in the last episode was right on the money, because then right after that, this whole Aaron Rodgers thing came about, and he said how he gave his research. When he gave it to the NFL, they looked at him like he was a quack. And I'm like, that's exactly what I was talking about in the previous episode about the NFL's like, look, dude, we got $1 billion business to run. We don't want any of your junk science, whatever. 2, I don't really care. Here's my attitude about the whole thing. I do not care if someone wishes not to get the vaccine. Again, it is your body, your right. What I do care about is if you're going to sit there and then start using junk science, conspiracy theories, and all this nonsense to justify it. If you don't want to take it, that's fine. But don't start saying, I did research. I talked to my good buddy, Dr. Joe Rogan, and, I'm getting medical advice from he's gone back on that podcast and he basically was asking, so who are these doctors who you converse with? And he couldn't name any because there's no reputable doctor who will put their name on, this nonsense that people, it's like being a flat earther, that's how I look at it. Again, if you don't want to take it for personal reasons, you just don't want to take it, religious, whatever, I'm fine with that. But don't start coming with these quote unquote research, scientific, analysis to justify it. So on the third level, it's obviously he was lying. And again, does an NFL player have the obligation to be honest about certain things? I mean, maybe no. I don't want to moralize anybody about the decisions, but to stand up at that podium and to say all that, knowing that you haven't been vaccinated, there's no reason to lie about it. And I think he was trying to get over on people. He's saying, "Oh, it's the woke mob." It's like, it's not the woke mob, dude. It's just people asking questions. There have been other people with the Washington football team, quarterback, Lamar. The Baltimore Ravens quarterback, Lamar Jackson, he hasn't been vaccinated. There's plenty of guys who haven't been. So, I mean, the reason to lie is just, there was no good excuse to lie. He just makes himself look kind of stupid, I think. It's like, he wants to be known as some kind of thinker, some kind of, intellectual, and everything just came off as like, dude, you're just kind of dumb. It's like, you can be honest, you can have a position. And this is what I say with anybody, with anything. If you don't want to take the vaccine, be like, I just don't want to take it. I'll wear a mask. I'll do whatever, but I just don't want to take it. But stop it with the junk science. I'm on a podcast with Joe Rogan and I figure this stuff out. And it's like, just get out of here with that stuff. That's how I feel about it.
Jeremy, thoughts? Oh, that's great. I love it. It comes in with the throat clearing.
Sorry, just choking on my spit. Yeah, I don't get what he was trying to accomplish, but yeah, I've heard now. Everyone knows. I was more curious which endorsements he's going to lose, because there's Allstate, which already has Mahomes kind of taking half the commercial. He was on some kind of healthcare one. I can't remember. I heard he got dropped by one of them already. I'm assuming it's that one.
Right. It was
his brand.
A healthcare group, a hospital group, which, that's just completely opposite. State Farm said they're going to continue to support him. I mean, his ads have been kind of low. I shouldn't say low. They've been diminished because, they have other athletes. They have Mahomes. They have the next generation. So it has less to do with his position and more to do with like, hey, we have a newer, fresher, cuter QB, doing our commercials. But yeah, the one he had with the health medical group, they dropped him because, he can't be on the side of medicine and science and have this guy doing that. I think it just hurts his overall reputation. Just, I think he was kind of known as a smart guy in the league, one of the first quarterbacks to really embrace using numbers and statistics to get down, tamper down the turnovers, analytics. He's been on different shows and podcasts trying to be like, hey, I'm going overseas to talk to Dalai Lama. I'm going to different think tanks to see what they think about things. And this whole episode just makes him seem like, okay, first you lied when he didn't have to. That's a self-own right there. And then two, instead of just saying, he came over saying like, I'm allergic to some of the things that are in the vaccine, which could be a legitimate concern. That's, if you're reading a list of ingredients and something in there you think you might be allergic to, that could be a legitimate concern you can bring up. But then we go on, I went to Joe Rogan and I talked to some doctors and, it could make you sterile. The whole Nicki Minaj cousin thing. It's like you made yourself look ridiculous. And that's just my point. It's like there was no need for all of this. And then to go and miss games, you're actually hurting your team and missing games when you could have just been following the protocol like these other quarterbacks and it would have been fine. But I don't know. It's just people just this whole and I really feel like the internet and Facebook and smartphones are making us into a dumber society where it's like people feel like they need what was it? I was going to say something as big as a pandemic, a worldwide global pandemic. They need somehow to explain it as opposed to just, hey, these things happen. Look at, the Spanish flu in 1918. Look at, the Black Plague in Europe during the Middle Ages. But when you're in it, people cannot just accept what happened. So they have to go look and find things to get their mind in the reality in their mind to understand what's going on. And to lie about it and to say, I spoke to doctors, but you can't name one, and names drops Joe Rogan. It's just, okay, dude. He
said that the one of the NFL doctors told him that COVID couldn't be spread via vaccinated people or something like that. And the NFL walked that back like, whoa, we would never say that kind of thing. So, I mean, I don't know what he's doing, man. He might miss next week's game. I heard he might be able to come back if he, I guess, gets through the protocol, but I guess we'll see. But I mean, that'll be 2 weeks without him. Did the Pack lose last week? I don't even remember.
Oh yeah. And
okay.
the Kansas City Chiefs are playing terrible. I mean, I don't know what's happened to that team. It's like I picked them to go back to the AFC Championship. Going to 3 Super Bowls in a row is pretty difficult, but their whole Mahomes looks, I don't know if it's getting the contract. I don't know if it's his wife and his family and, they're all new money and it seems like they're doing things to embarrass him every other week. Something's off with him. And that was a game Green Bay could have stole, but Jordan Love, the quarterback they drafted just 2 years ago, which legitimately Aaron Rodgers was pissed off. It's like, dude, I'm still MVP level and you're drafting my replacement in the first round, which is kind of ridiculous. But Jordan Love obviously is not ready, or, at least wasn't ready in that game. And I think
critical shit right there.
What?
Wasn't he drafted when Brett Favre was still around playing well?
You know what? Maybe there are clues to Aaron Rodgers. The exact same thing happened, and he acted the exact same way Brett Favre did. He was just pissed off. I mean, I get it. You're like, dude, the season after you drafted my replacement, I won an MVP. It's like, can you get me some more help? Can you draft a wide receiver? Can you draft, a defensive lineman to shore up our defense? But it is what it is. It's a business. The Green Bay Pack, eventually you're not going to be there anymore. But he pretty much treated you're 100% correct, Jeremy. He reacted to the same situation the way Brett Favre did. So I guess history repeats.
Where's Odell Beckham going?
He's a free agent, man. He cleared waivers. I dumped him off my fantasy team. Someone's going to be paying $7 million for half a season from him. I mean, is he putting out the numbers that can justify that kind of money?
I could see Kansas City panicking and going out and trying to get him. I can also see Tampa making a run at it and just saying, hey, I mean, they got 3 wide receivers already, but what the fuck?
I think that's the quiet one where everyone's like, please don't be Tampa Bay. It's like they're already at this level where Brady's getting everybody, and they're like, yeah, we're just gonna pick up everybody you guys don't want who are still great, and Brady's gonna make him look like Randy Moss, and then they're just gonna walk right into another Super Bowl. But
could you see that? You got Godwin, Evans, Antonio Brown, and Beckham Jr. I mean, come on. You put the 4 of them out there, and then Gronk coming out of the tight end.
4 wide receivers, then Gronk is the tight end. Yeah, good luck.
Empty backfield. Come on.
Yeah, they got to pick up Mike Wallace. They can bring him back from obscurity.
But I don't know what Tampa's cap space is. It makes sense. I know. What's teams have? I mean, this is another thing I could look up. I know for a fact Jacksonville Jaguars has the most cap space. They're like 20 million under the cap, which makes sense because they're a horrible team, even though they beat the Bills.
Their first
6-9
on US. Their first win on U.S. soil in 400 something days.
Yeah,
what the?
Just wild.
That's great.
But, they keep going to London every year so they can win a game.
But you have that. And, oh, no, go ahead, Mike.
No, I mean, I can't believe this week in the NFL was kind of wacky shit. Did you guys watch the Monday Night Football game? Obviously, I had to bring up the Steelers game, but they had that they had that the whole game. The whole game. They let it slip away from them in the fourth, and then it just kind of back and forth. And then this motherfucker, Carlos, what's his name? Sainte, whatever, the kicker for the Bears. He tries to kick a 65-yard field goal and misses it by 1 foot. It bounced off the upright. Like I had a heart attack. Like the Steelers owned that game until that.
Well, the Steelers and the referees.
Oh, well, yeah.
The Steelers and the ref. Do we want to talk about that little incident or whatever was going on with that? That ref needs to be suspended. That's got to happen. I mean, this taunting? I mean, like, just get out of here. Unless you tackle a guy and start gyrating your ball sack in his face, get out of here with the taunting penalties. I mean, it's a physical game. Guys talk shit. I understand if, maybe if you have a finger in the guy's face or something, but this nonsense of taunting that's been going on this year at the league is just get out of here. These are grown men, professionals. If you can't take a guy, if you make a big play, do it. And again, there is probably a line where you'll cross, and that line is probably, like in someone's face, doing something, derogatory or whatever, but staring down the other opponent's sidelines, like, get out of here. And the ref, he seemed to hip check him, trying to, push himself into the guy as further excuse to throw the flag. They need to get out of here, and that ref needs to be suspended or just not doing games, because that was just bullshit.
Well, the NFL went too far in the past with celebration, and they banned all. I mean, you could get suspended or you could get a flag for spiking the ball at one point in the NFL.
Right.
You couldn't celebrate anything. And they've come back on that a lot, and to the betterment of the league. I mean, watching some of those defensive celebrations, the bowling and the dragon boat racing. I mean, that shit's funny. It's, bring some life to, some humor to the game and some fun. I think this is going to be the same thing. They're going to be like, all right, we took this shit too far. As long as you're not, in the guy's face. Yeah. I mean, people, you're going to talk shit. You're going to make hand gestures. It happened. I mean, I remember you couldn't point for the first down if you pointed too close to the defender when you got a first down, then it's taunting. So you got to make sure you walk away from them before you point that you got a first. I mean, come on, have some fun. What the hell?
No fun league, man. Ain't gonna be any fun in the no fun league. But it was an exciting week. Let me tell you, I am damn happy because I was watching Eternals Sunday at 2 p.m. And so I picked up Colt McCoy because I'm like, man, I don't know if Kyler's going to start. I picked up Colt McCoy. That bitch scored me 41 points. So thank you, Colt McCoy. I still have him on my roster in case Kyler can't play again this week because they're going to baby him. They don't want anything to go wrong with that ankle. They want to make a playoff run. And so they're just going to baby him and do what they have to keep him as healthy as they can. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I did not perform. Jeremy is 40 points ahead of me in first place. We'll see. We'll see if he holds on to that lead. But we already played our head-to-head.
We could each lose a game and still be in second.
I mean, I don't want to get too far into the weeds on it, but like, it's so weird. If you look, I don't understand the power rankings on Yahoo, but it's telling me that Tim's team is going to beat me and you in the league because he's going to wind up with more points overall. Yeah, I don't.
300 points behind us right now.
I know. I don't know how that's going to happen.
those algorithms. You ever play Mario Party? Quick tangent. You ever play Mario Party on 64 Switch? And like 3/4 of the way through, they project who's going to win. And it's never the person who wins. It's like, oh, by our projections, this person, Toadette's going to win. I'm like, I'm kicking Toadette's ass. Get out of here. Fuck.
Speaking of which, I got third place team this week.
Who's that? Oh, you got Marnie.
I don't know.
That's Marnie. She was the one who was in first place, who was jawing a bunch. But she, props to her, man. She's been in my league for the past few years since I started it again. She was like the commissioner of the kickball league, and for one year, luck is going her way, and she's tied for first. Basically, just she has less points than me and you. So,
nope, she's got an extra loss now.
Oh, she does. She lost this week.
Yep.
Oh, that sucks.
She's 7-2.
Oh, okay. While we're waiting for our possible interviewee to show up.
Too, by the way.
Fuck off, Jeremy. 2 points, motherfucker. This bitch, he wins by 2 points. I know, a win's a win, but
win by an inch, win by a mile.
Speaking of athletes and COVID, did you guys see about Gordon Bombay and not being on the Mighty Ducks anymore? Jeremy's like.
Gordon Bombay.
He's looking confused.
Okay, I was like, all right.
So Emilio Estevez allegedly wouldn't comply with the vaccine mandate that Disney's throwing the gauntlet out. And he's not going to be in season 2 of the Mighty Ducks. I didn't watch season 1 of Game Changers. I assumed he had a decent role as a coach or mentor or something. And I don't want to slam the guy, but it's not like he's doing a lot of acting work nowadays. So, he put out a statement saying that it was creative differences and that he's not anti-vax, but he's not going to be bullied into getting a shot. So I just wanted to see what you guys had to say about old Emilio.
Not much. No, go ahead.
I don't know about your workplace. Mine is my workplace has come out and put out a mandate and put a date on it. You're vaccinated by this day or you don't have a job. So there's a lot of, people contemplating what their future holds for whatever reason. So to actually be in that position, to actually legitimately believe that there's something about this vaccine that you should not get or have some type of conviction against it. I mean, it's not just a black and white, you're an idiot because you don't want it. There's people that have legitimate concerns, at least from what I could see. I mean, we had vaccinations at our site and one guy lost about 5 minutes after he got the vaccine, lost sight in his eyes for like 4 hours. I mean, that's scary shit. I mean, have an ambulance called because this guy, couldn't see after he got the vaccine. So I don't know that it was related, but when you have evidence like that, it's, okay, there's, not just random shit you read on the internet or whatever. There's, okay, what do I do? So, I mean, if that's the decision he made, he's not screaming from the rooftops, oh, those assholes are firing me because I won't get the vaccine. Hey, you know what? It's not something I'm going to do. I'm going to see you guys later. I mean, I guess that's the way to handle it in my mind. If it's that big a deal to you, then yeah, just leave. Don't sit there and be screaming at people.
No, that was my point earlier. I absolutely agree. If your convictions are so strong about it that you feel, whatever the reason, you don't necessarily have to have a reasonable position in my opinion. If it's just like, hey, I seen this, someone I heard said because just like a personal anecdote you just gave, it wasn't mandated, but it was highly encouraged. Working on a fishing boat, we're in an enclosed area. So if one person gets on a boat, everyone's going to catch it. And our flagship boat now, our newest boat that we have for the company, the Araho, it actually got on the boat and it spread, and half the boat caught it, half didn't. They had to send. So normally our boat, or the maximum amount, the boat I work on is 38 people, including the observers. So we're talking 36 crew members and 2 observers. Our flagship, the Araho, is about twice our size, and I think their crew is about I think they have 65 total when they're full crew on their boat, and half their boat caught it. Somebody caught it very serious, where they had to go to the hospital in Anchorage. They had to quarantine the ones who had it. The ones who tested negative, they basically had to sit out in Dutch Harbor, just anchored for a month, and that's a month of. And, the fishing boat, it's basically a floating factory, a full operating factory. And for each fishing trip, we're doing hundreds of thousands, 3, 4, 5, sometimes $1 million a trip. For that boat, one trip that boat does is something like $2.5 million. And like, I don't know, 12, 13, 14, sometimes, I don't know the specifics of it. Well, let's just say about every 12 to 13 days. That's money, that's lives. So our company was again, it wasn't mandated, but they're basically like, we highly suggest everyone. They were sending out leaflets explaining how safe vaccines are and everything. And our captain, who's an older guy, Robbie, he's in his late 60s. He got the vaccine early in January before we went out. And he was on me to be like, hey, Sainte, talk to these guys. You're with the crew, explain the science. I don't want it coming on our boat. Not only does it put their health at risk, this is money. If people catch it, like I said, on the Araho, it was 65 people. And only one person was had a serious medical effect from the COVID. Most of the people quarantined, they were just fine. They had, either mild to, more than mild symptoms. But as a company, you have to look at that. That's your business that you're putting livelihood on the line if you have a vaccine spreading. So, and I mean, with the vaccinations, we had one guy on our boat, our assistant engineer, Scott, he did have an allergic reaction. He ended up getting hives on his back from the first dose of the Moderna. And then, of course, I'm the purser / medical officer / whatever. So the nurse, when we got our vaccines, I'm the one who they had to tell, hey, this is what you got to do if anyone has a reaction. End up giving them some, was it Tylenol or Advil? I think it was Tylenol. And it cleared up in a few days. But, even though he had that reaction afterwards, before he could get his second dose, they wanted him to make sure he got his second dose at a medical facility in case he had another reaction to it. But everyone else on our boat who got the vaccine, nothing, a couple of sore arms, a couple of people had, didn't feel well the next day, and it was fine. So back to what you were saying, Jeremy, there are reasons why you might say, hey, I've seen certain things as vaccine. I don't know yet, but as long as you just say that, but don't get into this conspiratorial, the government's trying, it's populate. I have friends who are telling me, Sainte, this vaccine's population control. This is how they're going to get rid of poor people and black people and stuff. It's the government. And it's, haven't you read all the research saying this vaccine was created, by the Illuminati, pick one, the Illuminati,
Kyrie Irving,
whatever. It's when I start hearing that kind of stuff, I'm just like, okay, man, you people go over here with the flat earthers. If you have a legitimate concern about the vaccine, that's fine. Just say, I choose not to take it. And, if your conviction is strong enough, I mean, someone made a good point. Are people up in arms if it's a work issue? Do they have the same conviction about people's rights and freedom when your company requires you to take a drug test? Even if you live in a state where now marijuana is legal, and yet companies are still drug testing people for marijuana, something that's legal in more and more states. Do they have the same convictions about that? So, like I said,
Let me get this straight. You're saying that Bill Gates isn't trying to get microchips in all of us? I'm confused.
Yeah, and yet you go out and buy a new iPhone every year and wonder if Bill Gates is trying to get a microphone in your body when he already has one in your pocket. Telling you, man, smartphones making people dumb.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about a few other topics that I have, and maybe we'll have an interview. I don't know. If not a big deal. You've been listening to Usual Saints. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Eva Habermann, and you're listening to The Usual Saints.
Welcome back to The Usual Saints, and I'm laughing because Sainte and Jeremy and I were talking about some topics to discuss, and Sainte had something. I don't want you to feel like you have to force it, Sainte, but we were talking about spoilers in movies and shows, and he brought up M. Night Shyamalan, but the pronunciation.
Yeah. I couldn't name, so I call him like Shamalama Ding Dong. But if you're watching one of his movies, like, you get spoiled. It's a stapleton of he's gonna put himself in the movie. It's gonna be somewhere in Philadelphia, and there's gonna be a twist that if you hear the twist before the movie, it might ruin the movie experience. That's an M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong movie. That's all I say. But most other movies, it's like, for example, if you go see Captain Marvel, can you really spoil Captain Marvel? I mean, you kind of know she's probably going to make it to the end. And there's going to be a big fight. So, like, when people talk about spoilers, like, I don't really, even the end credit scenes, I don't really, unless it's something like so, maybe Endgame, maybe spoiling Tony Stark dying, but I kind of figure, I was like, they told you their contracts are up, so something's going to happen. I mean, you think Tony Stark's going to be around and be like, the Avengers keep going, and Tony Stark is just hanging out. So I don't know. That's how I feel about movie spoilers. Like, so if you want to do a quick review of the Eternals, how you felt about it, spoiler free or spoilers included, I'm cool with it.
Well, I mean, we could do, I don't know if you were looking to get back into USSR eventually. We could do, that's kind of your baby. So we could do a whole show on it. It was okay. I'll say that. I was less impressed than I wanted to be, based off the trailers and the directing pedigree of, how do you pronounce her name? Chloe Zhao?
Yes, Chloe Zhao.
Yeah, she did Nomadland, and I loved Nomadland. I thought that was like a stupendous movie. I think that won Best Picture, right? Maybe.
Either
it's one of those things. We have an internet, Jeremy. We know, motherfucker.
It's either that or she won Best Director. No, she won Best Director. She won Best Director for Nomadland.
Okay, so
it could have won Best Picture too. I don't. I'm what was that?
I'm gonna look it up. Nomadland Best Picture. Oh, it did. Oh. Hey, it did, according to this. Yeah, it did win. Okay. So, yeah, I was right. Okay. So, it was good. So, that's fine. The actors, there's a ton of actors in it. You see in the commercials. It's got Salma Hayek. It's got Brian Tyree Henry from Atlanta. It's got that guy from Fantastic Beasts that looks like Ezra Miller, the Flash. Forget his name though. It's got that new girl who's like the only kid on the team. It's got Gemma Chan she was in Humans, among other things. I know I'm missing people. Angelina Jolie, and it's got two Game of Thrones people in it. It's got Kit Harington and Richard Madden. Richard Madden plays one of the Eternals. Kit Harington, I didn't know was in the movie, and so I was kind of shocked to see him kind of pop up as a love interest. And both of them are calling one of the characters' names, one of the Eternals' names is Cersei. So it's kind of funny to hear them say Cersei. So
two Starks from Game of Thrones, one who gets murdered, and the other one who makes it to the end, are both in love with a character named Cersei. It's like, I don't know, it's all coming. I read that and I'm like, oh wait, her name is Cersei and they're the two love interests. Like, damn, man, like, did they do that on purpose? Or I don't know, it's kind of weird.
I don't know, because I'm not familiar. I know Jack Kirby created the Eternals and it was like a short run and, whatever. So I don't know anything about their backstory, and it's spelled differently. So I assume it that Jack Kirby came up with it or whatever, but I could be wrong. It could be just an in joke, like, haha, check this out, guys. Look what we did.
Well, no, the character's name is Cersei, but obviously they know who they're casting. It's not like they don't know that these two guys were both, and we're going to put them both as both love interests to a character named Cersei. Like they knew it was a little Marvel's a little winky, a little bit. But I mean, I've read a lot of. I mean, at first when they announced this, I was like, again, I haven't seen it. I've just read some of the reviews, and it's the first Marvel movie to get a Rotten from Rotten Tomatoes, even though people are making a big deal about that. Like Rotten Tomatoes doesn't mean. I mean, the Fast and Furious movies get Rotten all the time, and those make $1 billion. So who cares? But from what I was reading, when it was first announced, I was like, oh, this might be. And again, I doubted Marvel before with Guardians of the Galaxy. If you're a comic book fan before that movie came out, nobody except for diehard comic fans. And I'm not super diehard, but I'm really, I mean, you can tell from the back here, I'm really into comics. You know, I fell off a bit, but even though I'm more Spider-Man, X-Men, that kind of deal, I'd heard of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'd read a few of their comics. The team that we see in the movies hasn't always been the core team. It's kind of fluctuated. But if before that movie came out, you told me that, hey, they're doing Iron Man, I'm like, okay, Iron Man's pretty cool. Captain America, to be honest with you, I enjoy movie Cap so much more than the comic books. And there's this thing happening in the comic books now where a lot of the comic book characters are now being modeled off the MCU. You know, it went from the movies were taking the comic, but now the comics kind of are mirroring and taking a lot from the MCU. And if you read the comics, like the comic book Captain America is much more in line with Chris Evans than before, where before I used to think Captain America was just a boring comic book. There was nothing interesting about that Captain America run. It was thing about it. He's one note. He's the perfect Boy Scout, and you know he fights evil. There was nothing interesting about that comic, but kind of like Superman. To me, there's nothing interesting about Superman. Like you keep having to up the stakes, or Captain America keep having to fight another evil, you know, towards, you know, tyranny and stuff. But you had the Incredible Hulk, which was always interesting. Thor, like I said, Marvel, we don't have to get deep into it. They sold off their best properties, Spider-Man and the X-Men. But if you had told me that we're going to make a Guardians of the Galaxy movie and it was going to be good, I was like, man, they are really scraping the bottom of the barrel for their IP, because nobody would have thought, but they did. And James Gunn made a great movie. It's that was my favorite movie that year. I loved the first Guardians movie. I watched that tons of times. So when Eternal was, I was like, hey, you know, Marvel's track record, they must know what they're doing. But from what I'm here, it seems like they kind of bit off a little bit more than they want to hear. There was a lot of story, a lot of characters, a lot to explain. And you're kind of dealing with the creation of the entire Marvel universe, which after Endgame is kind of, you know, if you're not deep into the Marvel lore, it's probably a lot to bite off.
Yeah. I think Guardians, like you brought up, had a big thing going for it with James Gunn. I mean, people didn't really know who he was beforehand. You know, he had done a few films before that, but he has an innate sense of humor. And now he's the go-to guy for teams that have a comedic thing, like the Suicide Squad. That was cool. And, you know, it's better than the David Ayer one. And David Ayer still is on the team, released the Ayer cut of the original Suicide Squad. Listen, I'm not gonna, I know, but like, I'm not gonna, I want to believe that maybe he's telling the truth and maybe the studio fucked that one up. But, you know, when DC got Gunn for the Suicide Squad, they're like, hey, man, do whatever you want. You want a giant starfish named Starro? Make him the bad guy? Yeah, bring him in. So, you know, with Chloe Zhao, it's more serious. Like they try to throw some levity into the film. But you're dealing with these like beings who basically they're made by the Celestials, who are, I think that's what's the big guy, Galactus? Isn't he a Celestial?
No, he's like an offshoot of that, but him and the Watcher, they're all super cosmic beings. It's kind of, it's real. You have to get deep into the weeds of it, but he's close, but not a celestial.
Okay. Did you? Oh, I'm going off on a tangent. Did you read that whole conversation this week about how Peter Quill is a celestial because Ego was a celestial, and Peter Star-Lord is Ego's son, and would that make him a celestial?
He has some celestial blood, but like I said, it gets real. And for a long time in the comics, that his father actually was an actual human being. They retconned all that. So it's again.
And James Gunn put out a tweet the other day when someone directly asked him about that. He said that he gave that up. So I don't think we're going to be seeing any celestial stuff from Star-Lord in Guardians 3 when that comes out. But it is it's a lot of mythology. I think they did a decent enough job of explaining everything and having so many characters to have to go to. They gave everyone good screen time. I forgot Kumail Nanjiani's in it. And I love him. I loved him in Silicon Valley. He got pumped for this movie, and they said that he was able to write his own lines, comedic lines, but it didn't have that same sense of humor that Guardians did. So it was fine. It was what it was. I enjoyed it. It was long. It was 2 hours and 40 minutes, I think, by the time, maybe 250 by the time we got out the theater.
That's disappointing, because that's something Marvel does much better than DC, is that little bit of humor in there makes a big difference in the movie.
Yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't there. Like I said, it's more... It was almost the most serious Marvel movie, I guess, in a way, but not a bad way. Like I said, it's difficult. You guys will have to see it eventually, but go ahead.
And you can kind of tell when humor's forced. It's another one is Taika Waititi. The way he makes movies is so natural. You put him with Thor Ragnarok and tell him he can do what he wants, and he's going to find the funny, and it's just going to come. It's natural. That's his wheelhouse, and he's comfortable in it. Chloe Zhao, she just won Best Directing and a Best Picture for Nomadland. And that movie, you said you enjoyed it. That movie was boring me and depressed. Oh my God. That's not like a carefree, happy, let's go on an adventure kind of movie. And not saying that it has to be. That's her style. And she, whether you agree or not, she won a Best Director for it. But then her next movie is supposed to be a Marvel movie, which I thought that this was going to be, it got her to be on the more serious side. But again, it is a Marvel movie. And someone made a good point. The reason you don't see a lot of comedies is because the Marvel and superhero movies have kind of taken that space a little bit, especially when they start being more self-aware. I think, I'm not sure when it came, probably after, the first Iron Man did a little bit, but definitely by the time we get to Thor Ragnarok, it's just with Infinity War and Endgame, they're just jokes. Anytime they can throw, a one-liner in there, they do it. So I don't know, but just the fact that he said 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I'm not one of these people. I love superhero movies. Give me more. If people complaining about it, I'm all into the comic book stuff. But if you need 2 hours and 40 minutes to tell your story, see, you're already, there's no way I'm going to go see this in the movie theaters. No way. No way.
All right.
You want 2 hours, 40 minutes? It better be Endgame. Endgame, you got me. Otherwise,
I want to touch on a few things you brought up. So back to the comedic thing. You talk about Endgame and Infinity War and Taika Waititi, hands down. I love New Zealand humor. I love him. He's great. Any movie he puts out, I'll watch. Jojo Rabbit was great. But also with the Joe and Anthony Russo, who did Endgame and Infinity War and I think Winter Soldier and all that at Civil War, they came from Community, the show. So, right. They have that background. So having that background, I think, definitely helps make the Marvel movies feel more like that. And I'm not saying they can't go for those prestige directors. And when I say I enjoyed Nomadland, it's a very depressing enjoy. It was a pandemic year. There weren't a lot of great films out. Like Trial of the Chicago 7 was good. Mank I did not like at all. I know we're going back to Best Pictures, but Nomadland I thought was one of the best ones I had seen, I guess technically, in the acting and everything like that, the story. But it's just it's tough. But let's touch on the runtime. You did hear that Spider-Man No Way Home is going to be 2 hours and 39 minutes long.
Fine. No, listen. See, and maybe I was actually having this thought because I kind of view myself as progressive, but then it was like, man, I've been dunking on a lot of things that have been female led and led by women. I was like, man, am I kind of? I had to think about. But here's the difference. That's Spider-Man. That's Spider-Man, and it's going to be the third Spider-Man. No, listen to my logic, right?
I get your logic, and I know where you're going to go, so go ahead.
Listen to my logic overall. Spider-Man is Marvel's Batman. Marvel screwed up royally when they gave the rights to that to Sony. Here's another thing. The biggest movie, Sony, which includes Sony Pictures, Columbia, and Sony Movie Classics, their independent arm. So if you take all of the Hollywood movie things that Sony makes, their biggest movies are Spider-Man and Venom. Out of every single, think about Columbia, which, is owned by them. Every movie in their catalog, the biggest movies they've ever made has been Spider-Man and Venom. Spider-Man's on a different level. Like Spider-Man ain't the Eternals. It's not Guardians. It's not anything else. So you giving me Spider-Man, you give me the Avengers movie, you can make it to, you said 2:30. It's even coming at a shorter runtime than the Eternals. So, but no, Spider-Man, you can get that. Although, Spider-Man 3 was bad. And I think the Andy Garfield Spider-Mans weren't that great either. But for Spider-Man, especially if this is going to be the Spider-Man that might be the last MCU Spider-Man and is going to completely wrap the MCU into the multiverse, bring back every single character from, Spider-Man 2, Doc Ock, the Green Goblin. If we're going to bring back we're going to bring back Tobey Maguire and Andy Garfield. This I will allow. This I will sit in the movie theater and gladly watch for 2.5 hours. There's no going to be no backstory. I'm not going to have to be introduced to 10 characters. You know what it is. Peter, Mary Jane, all the villains. Let's go. So that I will give an excuse for. Again, it's like if the new Batman movie comes out and it's 2 hours, that's fine. We're already invested in Batman. We're bringing the characters we know back. It's Batman. But if it was some obscure, if DC decided to do New Gods, there's no way I'm going to sit in, which are basically kind of what the precursor to this Eternal story. There's no way I'm going to sit in the movie theater for 2 hours, 2.5 hours and watch that. No, get out of here. No, just Hollywood needs to just come on. And actually, what I think happened was, to be honest with you, and I know Jeremy's kind of drifting off with this nerd talk.
I'm listening.
But I think what happened was they got Zoe Zhao. She came, did the movie, but because of COVID and all the work they had to do, she ended up getting the Oscar. Eternal was supposed to come out in 2022, but they had to push it back. So then she became Oscar winner, Zoe Zhao, for best directing. And I think she got a lot more input in the final cut. And I think there were some tensions between her and the studio about what they wanted to do. And I think, with her name on it, she got a lot more pull. And I think Kevin Feige was just like, well, okay. And that's why I think maybe, if they had more sway near the end, I think she got a lot more power after, her Oscar win. So, but yeah, Spider-Man, I'm all there for that. Gonna be there in the movie theater week 1.
Jeremy, I was gonna say, I wanted you to talk. I want to make sure we weren't leaving you out. Me and Sainte have a tendency to do this when we go back and forth, bouncing off each other. But go ahead. Stan Lee, no.
Stan Lee in this one, right?
No. Stan Lee's dead.
I didn't know how far ahead they'd shot his cameo.
Oh no, the last one was shit. What was the last one saying? Oh, he did What If. If you guys watched What If that summer, which I actually enjoyed surprisingly, his voice was in What If, but that's I don't know if it's repurposed or whatnot. I think that was his very last thing. But his last movie cameo, was it Endgame? I don't remember. He was in Captain Marvel. Oh, okay. Captain Marvel came up before Endgame. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he was in Captain Marvel.
Probably my favorite of all his cameos.
Oh, where he was sitting there. What script was he reading? He was reading a Kevin Smith's Mallrats. Yeah. That was a good one. Actually, my favorite. No. Okay, I got you. No. Captain Marvel came out after that one. So his first cameo after he died was actually and because it's my favorite movie of all time, is in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where he owns a store and he's selling knockoff Spider-Man stuff. And then he gives away. It's real. It's super meta and it makes me emotional when I see it. So I'm getting old. So that was his first Captain. But then he was in Captain Marvel. I don't remember in a minute if he was in Endgame or not. I don't remember.
Only there was a way to check.
Shut the fuck up. Fine, motherfucker. Fine. What was Stan Lee's last cameo? Now it's bringing up a bunch of weird shit.
I would just type in Stan. I'm just doing Stan Lee.
Endgame. Endgame and Captain Marvel were his last ones.
Okay, so he was in Endgame.
Yeah. Okay. Featuring a digitally de-aged Lee in Endgame. Where was he in that?
I don't remember.
Weird. Let's see. I wanted to touch on the Batman. Oh, go ahead.
Was anyone in Eternals kind of like a surprise appearance, or in the MCU, or no?
I mean,
you don't have to tell me who. I'm just curious if they tied them together at all.
No, but there is something in there that you might have read about, which Marvel, I was kind of shocked did, but it's all in a tongue-in-cheek way. At one point in the movie, there's a character named Icarus who's played by Richard Madden from Game of Thrones. He's basically he shoots lasers from his eyes, he flies, he's strong, he's the strongest member of the entire team. And so at one point a kid goes, "Oh, hey, that's Superman." In a Marvel movie. and then they make the joke about, "Oh, should I just call you Clark?" So I mean, like, they're doing like the tongue-in-cheek like thing, but like it's almost like, oh yeah, now Superman kind of technically exists in the Marvel universe because this kid referenced it in the movie Eternals. You know what I mean?
Right. Super meta, Yeah. I mean, if you can get away with it.
Well, that has to do with Facebook.
Facebook, what are you talking about?
They changed.
Oh, no. Facebook's name. They changed the name to Meta.
Oh.
Shit. Slide one in there. I got it.
I hate that name. Have you guys seen the new Batman trailer? For the Batman, I guess we should need to call it?
Yes.
Okay.
You know I have.
I know. First of all, it looks amazing. It looks dark. It looks gritty. It looks awesome. And even Sophie, my daughter, she heard the song they play in the trailer, Something in the Way, Nirvana, Kurt Cobain. I don't know if it's a different version than the studio version, but she looked over like after the trailer. I was like, "What's that song?" And so it's like, it's cool to like have her introduced to music through a trailer, but just the way they use it. I love when movie trailers make great use of a song that I know or from an artist that I love and put it into a movie trailer. Movies too, but trailers, for some reason, they have a way of just making it just that much better. And so when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, great!" And Colin Farrell looks great as the Penguin. Who's Catwoman? It's the daughter of that shit.
Zoe Kravitz, my girl.
Kravitz. That's right. So yeah, the daughter of, I knew it was Lenny Kravitz. Oh, Rob Pattinson from Twilight. Sparkly Vampire.
Yeah. I know who you. I guess Batman doesn't need a lot of emotional range. Okay.
No, dude. You have to go watch a movie called Good Time. It's a movie by the Safdie brothers, who actually are probably my favorite directors out there. They did Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. Good Time has Rob Pattinson playing like a thief, and he has such good dramatic range in that film. He's a good actor. He's gone on Stern a few times, had a bunch of great interviews on there. He seems like a good guy. He did Twilight. What was he going to do? He was an actor. He took a role. It projected him into one of the biggest stars in the universe, but it is what it is. So I have faith that they know what they're doing with the movie. And then I want to see what Paul Dano does with the Riddler, because if you look in the trailer, they haven't shown his face at all. So I want to know what the fuck's going on there.
I think it's probably just, for the casual fan, just kind of keep it secret. For the person who doesn't, go on IMDb and look up to see who this is, probably just a way to keep it, kind of concealed. And he's like, "Oh, that guy. Yeah, I know that guy from something. Yeah, he's kind of scary." I think it's pretty smart to try to hold back if people,
What is this IMDb you speak of?
It's the thing that would save us a lot of the tool that would save us a lot of time on this podcast.
All right, let's take another quick break, and then we'll come back with our C block, and that'll be this week's show. So you've been listening to Usual Saints. We'll be right back.
I'm gonna take a piss real quick.
Oh, see, that's our end right there. I was waiting for Jeremy to say something, but he just stared at the screen.
That's right.
Hi, this is Fred Davenport. Listen to the Usual Sense on your favorite way of getting a podcast.
Get one of these arms, like Sainte has one of these arms. You just walk around with like a backpack, like one of those. What's that Chappie movie with the robot with the Chappie? It was. There you go, Inspector Gadget. You could do it like him. All right, so let's see. Welcome to. Why is my sleep mode on? It's that late. I'm getting old. My Apple Watch is telling me to go to sleep. Welcome back to the Usual Saints. I'm Mike D here with Sainte and Jeremy, and we got stood up by our interviewee, Ashlyn. So we'll see. We'll see if we get her another time. It's fine. But that's fine. We still have some stuff to talk about. You guys, just to touch on it, and I'm not going to go too deep into it. No Time to Die. Oh, and if we want to give a rating to Eternals, I'll say C+, B-, something like that. No Time to Die. I've seen all the latest James Bond films. I fell asleep during Spectre, so I don't remember that one very much. I did enjoy Skyfall, but No Time to Die.
That's the one everyone likes. Yeah, that's the one everyone likes. Skyfall.
It's got Javier Bardem, and he's so charming. No Time to Die. I enjoyed it, and I don't know if you've read any spoilers. It really shocked me. You guys planning on seeing it, or should I spoil?
What, they kill him?
What the fuck?
What?
No, but I mean, like, how do you kill James Bond? And then at the end, after the credits, because I stay to the end of the credits of every movie, it says James Bond will return, because obviously they're not going to kill an IP like that. They're going to keep bringing James Bond back and back and back and back. But I was just supremely shocked that they killed him with missiles. I mean, he didn't like jump off into the water or something. This motherfucker's dead. He's roasted. He's like, I don't know. I think they might have been nukes. Like, he's gone. So I was a little shocked that they did that at the end of fucking No Time to Die.
Well, maybe they're making it so James Bond isn't the character, as in it's more of a title of double.
That is a way to be like for Daniel Craig to be like, you know what? Just nuke me. Let them know, no, I'm not doing another one. There is no way. I want it to be a nuclear explosion. So there's no, well, maybe he, there was a secret tunnel. He got into the car, hidden her. No. But I just find it as a funny way for Daniel Craig to be like, you're going to write in the script. James Bond gets hit by a nuke. He's not coming back. Or at least I'm not coming back. It's like, you've been doing it. When was, again, another IMDb question I was going to say.
Casino Royale, I think 06. I think 2006 probably. Sounds about right to me. So and he's done Casino Royale, Quantum Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, and then No Time to Die. So he did 5 in 15 years. That's about right. Every 3 years. Yeah. Okay. So, and plus this one was supposed to come out last year. So, or maybe even the year before. Regarding your point, Jeremy, in this film, since it doesn't seem like you guys are planning on seeing it, it came out a month ago anyway. It's spoilers, whatever, doesn't matter. There actually is another 007, but James Bond is like the name. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're gonna recast James Bond the character, but it's not gonna be like I don't think they'll get tongue in cheek about that. Probably bring back some of the cast. But then maybe they'll go Idris Elba or something like that. Maybe they'll go someone, that people want to see. I know a lot of other people have said that. Go ahead, Sainte.
Weren't they talking female?
Yeah, but I think it was Daniel Craig or someone else basically shot that shit down. And I don't know.
Here's the thing. And again, I mean, we don't want to get into politics and the whole, everyone talks about the whole woke, whatever. Here's the deal. There are enough female, minority, whatever IP that you can go get. This is my opinion of it, that you can go get where you don't have to take an IP that already exists in James Bond and try. All you do is just piss off people from both sides, the hardcore fans, and you piss off these other people who say, oh, look, these people are trying to be all, progressive and blah, blah, blah. It's like, if it's James Bond, what I will say is that James Bond is a fictional character. So it doesn't matter. Remember with Daniel Craig, the big thing that he was blonde? Oh my God, he's blonde. He's not a Scotsman. I was like, shut the fuck up. His name's James Bond. He's a dude. We get it. It's 007. None of that stuff matter. The hair color and stuff. And then, once the movie came out, people really embraced Daniel Craig as Bond. That whole thing just blew over. My thing is, why do they even care about so apparently this iteration of Bond dies, right? It's not like, You could just make the next James Bond movie and just reboot this whole thing. Oh, it's basically what they've been doing since the beginning. Yes, I guess in some multiverse, all the Bond movies are connected together, but that doesn't make any kind of fucking sense. Because people were trying to say, well, you can't kill off Bond because, you know, back in Octopussy, he was this and this. It doesn't matter. Get another character, white, English, British, Scottish, Irish, who cares? Or American. Maybe, you know, I think they might be a little pissed if we got an American doing a bad. I would love it because, you know, just taking all the British who come over here and play Americans. Like, how about we take an American and we make him James Bond? I would appreciate that little twist. But just get a dude, reboot the whole thing, come up with another fantastical story. See, the thing about the Craig iteration of Bond, I mean, after we had who was Pierce Brosnan, and before him was what was that guy's name?
Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton. Which
Timothy.
I saw a bunch of those movies and they were like, oh man, it's kind of cheesy. But then, you know, Pierce Brosnan, he had more of a debonair kind of I don't know how to explain it, more of a regal look to Bond. But then with Daniel Craig, and especially in Casino, where he got jacked. And he brought a more physicality, and he brought James Bond back down to earth. Now, for the next guy, just you know, that's what they pay writers for and directors for. Just come up with some new shit. But if you just reboot the whole thing over again, who cares? Take 3-4 years, actually maybe 5. Give it some time. Like, I think between Star Wars movies, you need some time to breathe, let the audience breathe about it. But in 6-7 years, you come out with a 007, you choose a young British actor in his, you know, late 20s, early 30s, and you just redo the whole thing over again. I do not understand why people make such a big deal about these stuff. And if a female's 007, you can work. Hey, you know, we got a new Bond and, you know, 007 is my thing and he's fighting 006. It doesn't matter. Just write the script, get a good writer. It's all nonsense anyway. I never get why people make a big deal about this stuff.
You can't imagine Pete Davidson as James Bond. Like, he'd be like, shaken, not stirred, or something. Like, you know, in a weird accent, like a Staten Island accent. I will tell you a highlight of the film, and she was only in it for a little bit. I don't know how to say her name. Ana de Armas. She was in Knives Out and Blade Runner 2049. Right. Mm-hmm. She was really good in it in the small portion she was in. I really like all the supporting cast. Like, it has what's his name from Westworld? Fuck, the black guy. Jeffrey. I mean Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright. Right. Yeah, Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright. Yeah, he was in it. He played the recurring character, like a CIA agent that has known Bond for years.
He's been in it since Casino Royale.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, just seeing him in there, he's a great actor. I love Westworld. And where's that, by the way? Where's season 4 of that? But
I'd like to see him kind of reboot it as kind of almost from like a beginning type thing, like a training. He's not the super spy already.
Why not?
From there, you know,
Look at you. Look at Jeremy writing better scripts than half of Hollywood. I'd watch that. You know, the beginning, you know, when he's 00 nothing. You know what I'm saying? How do you get to 007? You know, where'd he come from? I mean, I guess this, the Daniel Craig Bond, they didn't show it, but they talked more about his upbringing and how M, how she had been kind of like his foster mother, kind of brought him from the depths. So it'd be great to have, like, you know, kind of like what they're doing with the Batman. Show James Bond is, you know, maybe a 20, just got into MI6 and or what? Not MI6. What's the British agency called?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, there's MI5 too, but I don't know which one is 00.
Okay. But you know, show them, you know, coming up the ranks or just getting picked up or
recruited out of the SAS or wherever the hell they
right.
Them, you know? Yeah, that to me would be a better story.
There you go.
And just to be clear, Sainte, you saying it has to be in your mind because there's so many other IPs out there. Idris Elba should avoid it because it could piss off the fan base.
No. Idris Elba. There's so many other things Idris Elba could be doing. So many other IPs or even original shit. Why? In what I would consider if more and more people thought like me, sure. Who gives a fuck, right? Because who cares? It's all just make believe anyway. But the way people get so in their feelings about it that, and there are other minority characters, female characters, all kinds of IP that can be made into movies. Why bother? And if I'm Idris Elba, I'm staying away from this with a 10-foot. Like, don't involve me in any of your guys' nonsense. There isn't an amount of, well, okay, if they offered them $200 million, okay, you know what I'm saying? But anything short of that, it's just not worth your time. I just seen Idris Elba. I mean, he actually did 2 horse movies. He did the one about the horse guys in Philadelphia, and then I just watched The Harder They Fall just yesterday, which highly recommend. I enjoyed it. Black Cowboys, Black Western. See, Black Cowboys, Black Western. I'd much rather see Idris Elba in that than see him, have to deal with all the nonsense. People be upset if he becomes James Bond. I think he do a great job in it, but there's just too much baggage and with it. So yeah, no thanks. And he's too old. You got to get a young guy because you're gonna get the next guy's gonna be doing this for the next 20 years. So
and he's about to be Knuckles the Echidna in Sonic the Hedgehog too. So talk about throwing money at a
go do Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Hey, the money's gonna spend the same, dude, and you're not gonna have to spend 4 months getting in the ridiculous shape to play Knuckles from Sonic the Hedgehog. So if I'm Idris, yeah, that's. Which goes to show, that's pretty much why most of those guys, they just don't want to do it anymore, right? Because it's like, I don't want to train, I don't want to eat. Eventually, it's my joke about all the eventually all the actors in the Marvel, they just end up with like, yeah, fuck that shit. They show up to set and everything becomes, yeah, fuck that shit. It's like from the first Thor. Chris Hemsworth, long blonde hair, has to speak in that accent, thou and blah, 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 blah. By the time you get to Thor, right? Yeah, fuck that shit. Scarlett Johansson, she's playing a character who is known for having the reddest hair. It's supposed to be a redheaded. It's always red in the comic books. By the time we get to Infinity War, Scarlett Johansson shows up to set and be like, yeah, fuck that shit. I'm showing up blonde. You just write it in. And the best is, what's her name? Scarlet Witch,
Elizabeth
Olsen. How first with Sokovia and the accent, and I'm from Sokovia. By the time we get 3-4 D, yeah, fuck that shit. I'm not doing the accent.
Well, I like the Thor missing eye. Oh, we're gonna give him a cybernetic eye. Yeah, he didn't want to sit in that makeup chair.
Yeah. Fuck that shit. Yeah. I'm not wearing the eye patch. Write it in the script. Yeah, they even make fun of him in WandaVision. Like, what happened to your accent? She's like, oh, yeah. Again, and I think with Daniel Craig and all these guys, like, no matter how much money, it's like, yeah, I don't want to spend 4 months in the gym. I don't want to watch what I eat. I've made $1 billion off this franchise. I'm good. I mean, he's doing like a million Knives Out movies. He's already doing like Knives Out 2 and 3 at the same time.
Yeah, so that's a good universe to go expand into, with Rian Johnson and go there. Knives Out was great. Jeremy, did you watch Knives Out?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it's good. I loved it.
It's like in a house and he's an investigator.
It's like a murder mystery, but it's a lot of comedy. I love Rian Johnson. Yeah, I love what he did.
Beginning of it, I didn't watch the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Can't count on Jeremy to fucking watch any films unless it's a rom-com.
I work.
Motherfucker, I work too. Sainte gets off a boat. He's been fishing for the past year.
Well, yeah. He's kind of trapped on the boat. He's going to watch movies and shit. What else is he going to do?
That's true.
All right. Well, let's see. We can wrap it up for this week.
Wait, did you have any Chad moments this week?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
So okay. So like you said, we're still experimenting, but that definitely has to be a segment of the week. Mike's Chad moment of the week. Go ahead.
So let's see. I got my refund for my Shine cleaners because they never responded to the customer service. So I'm waiting on that refund to process. They didn't ask for the cleaners back. They're just sitting in my bathrooms doing basically nothing. But Jeremy, I thought you wanted to say something. And then there's another one today. So, I mean, it wasn't really a Chad moment, but so I went to Panera today for lunch because I'm still feeling a little under the weather. And I'm like, let me get some soup. It'll be quick. It's Panera. It's in and out. You sit down, you eat the soup, you eat the grilled cheese, you're fucking out. I order at 12:27 p.m. Yeah, lunch rush, whatever. Get it. It's Vero Beach, man. It's not exactly like fucking New York City. I'm waiting. Before I know it, it's 12:50. and my order is nowhere even on the screen that I'm seeing at being possibly done anytime soon. All I ordered was a sandwich and fucking soup. So I go to, I'm like, I'm leaving. I don't have time for this. I'm busy, you know? So I go and ask the one person at the front counter. I'm like, yeah, I need to get a refund. This is taking way too long. And by the way, there's 20 other people waiting, but they're just have patience, I guess. So, and then it takes another 5 to 10 minutes just to process this refund through this guy who comes over in some sort of managerial role, but seems to not understand how to use the system. And so I guess that's why he's the manager. I guess it got canceled, but then he couldn't even print out a receipt saying that it got canceled. So, I'm just got to watch the credit card statement for that. But it's just, and I tweeted also at Panera after that happened.
There it is.
Of course you did.
There's Chad.
I haven't heard back.
For lunch instead.
So I went to Publix and I'm like, let me get the chicken noodle soup here. Cause like I said, I was on my soup for my sick. And I go and say, hey, can I get a chicken tender wrap on white? She goes, okay. She walks away and she comes back and she's like, oh, it'll be 7 minutes for the chicken tenders. Man, it's 12:50. How do you not have chicken tenders ready at Publix? Publix should know that chicken tenders at lunchtime are a necessity.
I'll give Publix because they get a rush and it's like they make, and yeah, they should have a lot because they know people come to get the chicken sandwich. But I give Publix a better excuse than Panera. All you do at Panera is sandwich and soup. That's all you do. And it should not take over 20 minutes to do a sandwich and soup. That's all you guys. Publix, I give a little more leeway because, probably some days are slower than others. They do a lot more than just make sandwich. But yeah, that at Panera, that's no excuse. But the Twitter, I've actually thought about this. I was like, Mike's goal should make this podcast so famous off the podcast that when he does tweet, like they're like, oh shit, fucking Mike from the usual side, shit. It's kind of like it was like Joe Rogan started roasting you, like a company like, we're sorry, someone make this right. You know what I'm saying? We get like a sponsorship from Panera for a year, like from it. So that should be a goal of yours. Chat out so hard that
Chat out. This is what my tweet to them read. It said, at Panera Bread, 30-minute wait for food at the Vero Beach location. Their excuse was that they got a lot of call-in orders. That's not a valid excuse. I won't be wasting my time there again. So the vague threat, that's probably not true.
That's right.
What happened is, you're not chatting right. This is what you got to do. Although I will give you the crown with contacting board of directors or whatever you've done. But in a tweet, you never say, I'm never going back again. You have to say, how are you going to correct the situation to make me come back? Saying you're not going to come back, you're basically like, oh, well, okay. But if you're saying, you should compensate me in someone, then you got something there. There you go.
See, this is why I had the podcast for you guys to come up with these gems so I know what to do for next time.
Because there will be a next time.
There will.
Of course there will. All right. So let's see.
You need to get highlights in your hair so the managers can see you coming. They know who they're dealing with.
No. All right. You guys cracked me up.
Thank you for that.
You guys got me going. Sorry.
There's a mute button.
Yeah, I know.
For sure.
All right. So let's see. We got our website, theusualsaints.com. You can follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I haven't posted in a while. I asked these two fucks to make any posts on social media. It's like pulling teeth. So,
I might get back into it. I'm kind of back reacclimating to the real world. I need at least a week to decompress from the boat just to get back to normal. But I'm there.
All right. We're the usual Saints there. The phone number 240-724-6877 sounds right. But I didn't broadcast live tonight. I should have broadcast live. Every time I broadcast live, I don't have to edit the video portion of the podcast, which isn't that big of a pain in the ass, but it's just an annoyance. So whatever. But I thought we'd have an interview. Ashlyn. Hey, listen, if she listened to this episode, Ashlyn, where the fuck were you? Whenever she reads her message, I'll get to her. But let's see.
It's not that big of a deal.
No, it's not. But but listen, I think part of the joy of this podcast is finding those guys like we discussed last week, or girls, obviously. I think we've had more girls.
To board of directors.
What? No, I'm just saying finding those people that we can pull a good story out of them, get a good interview. And I know most of it is me and my interviewing skills, but that's.
Okay. I don't think I've seen Sainte's eyes rolled that far back in his head before.
Just okay.
Moving on.
But no, I like talking to different people from different backgrounds. I mean, shit, I don't care what they do. It doesn't have to be someone that has something to promote. I like good stories. So when we can talk to people, even if it's not funny, obviously we prefer a little bit of humor, but whatever, it doesn't always work out
that one
way.
lady with the great personality.
That's Vinny's line. You're not Vinny, Jeremy. You're not Vinny.
I know. Thank you. I have a job.
That's fired.
That's fired. Right across the bow. All right. So for Sainte and Jeremy, I'm Mike D. You've been listening to Usual Saints. We'll be back next week with an all new episode. Thanks for listening.
Peace.
See what George is up to. Come on. That guy's fucking crazy. What's the actor guy?
Oh, that's a callback.
I thought Mike was just being quiet on purpose. I was like, he was like,